This is an old card I have, and this is shaders 102. Anyways, as you can see here, from the very get-go with the head icon and going into general, you will immediately see these three options below called material editor. Normally, you would go into them and you would search for another material. So for me, man, what's that? I could just search up body real quick. And well, as you can see, it already has the skin plus in it. Normally, it's going to look like this. This is the base shader for all skin related things. To change it to Zookme, you can just search for Zookme and change it to the according variant. Don't worry about these three other things, I can get to that later. So yeah, it's that simple. That's changing it manually, of course. Now you won't notice the difference inside Koikatsu itself because there are no map lights inside of here, but once you're in studio you'll notice the difference. And of course, hair also has it. Keep in mind that for each one of these hairs, like back, front, and side, and extensions, you have to change all of them manually. And like so, you have main hair. You can just search for Zookme and look for it there. Hair plus, yippee. And then hair front plus, yes. Keep in mind that front hair and regular hair shaders are two different things. And that's because there's like this option that allows you to show the eyes behind the hair, and basically it'll like, if you don't have the front hair shader, it won't make the eyes see through. Well, that's only for some people. There is another thing you can do with it in material editor, of course, and that is to change the transparency. So if I lower this, right, and I decided to turn on the option to make it see-through, you'll notice that it's slightly transparent instead of fully showing you the eye. But anyway, that's how you would change the shaders manually, normally. Of course, there is another thing you can do. If you go into material editor and you press M, you get the mask shader editor. What this is supposed to do is you would put in a base shader in here and the shader you want to change it into in here. So what this should do is it would just change everything with main hair into hair plus shaders when you select modify all and you say yes. But I don't really use it that often because for some reason it's kind of inconsistent and it doesn't work sometimes. I don't know why, it just happens. But yeah, there's that. Anyway, as you can see, these are the more common variants you'll see, like main item and main alpha. You could probably notice the pattern. They just all have plus in front of their names. Very easy, very self-explanatory. And here are some of the rarer, more unable to understand type shaders. Because listen, the thing is, most of these are in Japanese, so you're not gonna know which is which. So I just have a whole list in here. You can find these all inside of the material editor, parenthesis, all parenthesis, and you could just search for them all accordingly. Very easy. Anyways, studio time. I already have it here. Let me just delete these two and reset it all back to normal. So I'm just going to add a random character. I guess the old ones I have. Ignore some of those names. Anyway, I have Lucky Jan here. As you can see, although he does have the Zokumi shaders installed inside of his card, you can't really notice the difference. And that's because there are no map lights. These, well, I can't really explain what they do without showing you, but basically D stands for directional, P stands for point, and S stands for spot. So yeah, directional light, point light, and spotlight, very self-explanatory. This is like the sun, this is like a lamp, and this is obviously a spotlight. Of course, you could use these other ones, but I personally prefer these ones because they're what I'm used to. Now, I'll just add a quick mod map. As you can see, you can already see the effects. It's like down there in the ground though, so let me move it up. And you can notice the effects already. He looks a lot more glowy. It's very shiny, as you can see. However, if I move it forward in front of his face, you'll notice that, wow, maybe that's a little too shiny. Now there's a few ways you can mitigate this issue. Number one would be to go to the map light and you go to anim, which will give you all these properties. You can change the color, of course, do anything wacky. Keep in mind, the closer it gets to black, the less powerful the light gets. Normally, I just use white though. You can change the strength, which is just the brightness. Self-explanatory there as well. Intensity is the range of the light. It doesn't really affect the brightness that much, but if you have like things that are really far away, you can just change the intensity. If you have multiple map lights as well, normally the one with more intensity will affect the character instead of the one with less intensity. I think I can show you an example real quick. So like, yeah, if I have it right here, well, where is it? Bruh. Anyways, if I just bring this really close to the character, you'll notice all that light is being shined right there. Ooh, glowy. But if I have another map light, you'll notice that it kind of does some weird stuff, and that's because the stronger light will tend to override the other ones sometimes. So yeah, try not to have more than one map light at a time if you can. It's fine if you don't sometimes, but usually it's a bad idea because it'll do that wacky stuff. Anyway, as you know, that map light is really bright. So to fix this issue, I would usually just tone down the character lighting like so. And you can see it doesn't look half bad at all. Those just 2 easy steps. Anyway, I noticed that these gloves are not acting up properly. So I just go into material editor, change it manually. Oh, that one. Oh yeah, here's a thing to remember. Sometimes there's more than one material inside of an object. It's really common for clothes and bodies. You usually won't see it in hair, but if you find something that's not working properly, that might be the issue. Anyways, this is main alpha, so I just look for alpha plus, like so. As you can see, fixed itself. Very easy. And if you don't want to manually change your shaders, there is another option inside of Character Studio, which if you press F1 and you have the good old shader swapper plugin, you'll notice that there is a nice little option, nice little hotkey here called swap shaders. So if you hit P plus right control, it would normally swap them instantly. Which, well, let me get an old card that doesn't have anything. Wow, some of these are outrageous. Sure. So yeah, as you can see already, there's no light on her at all, which is why you would need something other than the base shaders. So I just hit right control plus P, boom, instant. Of course, sometimes it doesn't get it properly, and that's really bad. But if you're just wanting a quick way out, that would be the way to do it. Whoa, what the fuck? Anyways, I go in here. I talked about tests and reflect earlier. Normally, you don't need to worry about that. But, whoops. As you can see inside of my body material right here, I have the skin plus test shader. What this does is, if you have a displaced texture, it will move the vertices around. Because this is a 3D object, you'll notice that if you do a really close up, it has like these really jagged edges. A test shader, if you have that displaced text, of course, will basically smoothen it out. Or, well, I mean, I guess it depends on the texture. But yeah, it just moves around the vertices to look like something else. So if I close these gloves real quick. Close? If I turn that off, you'll notice, ooh, jagged. That shit's a polygon. It's still sort of like a polygon, but you can tell that it's more smoother because that's the displaced text I put on him. Yeah. I don't know, it's hard to explain. In order to show you reflect, I would probably... No, yeah, I can show you it right now. So if I go to body again real quick, skin plus dust, and I just change this into skin plus dust reflect, this is just these two combined. Basically, if you have a reflect shader, you will unlock this new property here called the reflection map cap. What it does is it basically tells the character or whatever the sort of fake shading. It's hard to explain, but basically we have this bubble here. It looks kind of oily. So what it does is, ooh, oil. And of course you can tone it down by changing the reflection value. So like 0.26, like that. I need an even number. 0.4. Ooh, it's oily and shiny. Whatever. Usually you won't use this for skin, but it does have pretty good effects on hair. Unfortunately I can't really show you how it happens, but yeah, that's how it works. Back to skin plus dust. Anyways, that was shaders 102. I think I missed something, but I don't know what I missed, so I'm not gonna say anything. Good luck with your renders.